name's Ian Salis. I'm a trichologist, which means I am a hair and scalp expert, clinician. So I know a little bit about hair and scalp problems. I deal with them quite a lot in my clinics every day. And I'm here today to talk to you about scalp health. Now, this is something which is very close to my heart, something that I do concentrate on quite a lot. Let's have a chat about where things go wrong and how we can help. One of the main problems is that scalp problems pretty much look the same to the layperson. So you can either get itchiness or flakiness, and the flakes can be quite thick, or they can be quite fine, or they can be yellow, or they could be white. But generally, they are flakes, and there is irritation, and there is sometimes other things that's going on, like dysthesias, which is burning, prickling, and these types of general issues. So they all tend to compile together. And then the problem is that people tend to make a decision based on the irritation and the look of it, and they get confused, and quite rightly so, because the scalp is very, very unique in the body. These areas of our skin quite dry and arid. They're like deserts for our microbes. Whereas the scalp is more like a tropical rainforest because it has its own temperature. So where the scalp is, where the way underneath your hair will be quite a constant temperature. There's lots of food there because your hair is producing lots of lipids, and therefore there's lots of things to eat around there. And if you think of how much sun gets on your face, there isn't very much sunlight that gets into your hair. So the environment is completely different to your skin on your forearms or the skin on your face. And therefore, you have to take a different tactic when it comes to scalp issues. There's some interesting data that's come out about scalp problems, and this shows that the percentage of women over their subsequent decades, so the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and those asked, how do you have a scalp problem? And you can see there that there is some really interesting data about there is psoriasis. So 4% of people or 2% of people said that they suffer from psoriasis, and that was probably a diagnosis that they got. Everything else, irritation, itchiness, sensitivity, oily, flaky, and dry, with maybe the exception of dandruff, but again, dandruff can be confusing. They're quite nebulous terms. They are very interchangeable. So what I would call irritated, you might call itchy. So we know that people have significant amounts of problems, but they don't know how to categorize it directly. And again, so what you have is lots of people with a different take on their scalp issue. The usual steps when people come in to see me when they've got a scalp problem is that they have got a scalp problem and then they reach for a product on the shelf of their pharmacist or their supermarket, or they might have seen something online. And it's either something strong and it hurts because it causes a secondary sensitivity. It's something mild, so it isn't effective. Something natural, because what they do then is they go, oh, that didn't work and this didn't work, and therefore I've got to do something which is going to be not hurting my scalp. So they try and find an organic shampoo. And there isn't such a thing as an organic shampoo. There isn't a shampoo tree that people squeeze shampoo into. It's a chemical product, so don't kid yourself. And then some people go to Head and Shoulders because they know that it will do something. And sometimes if you've got dandruff, it'll work. 9 times out of 10 people have not got dandruff, so it doesn't work. And then people then tend to wash their scalps less because they think that they're irritating it. And then they stop using electrical devices because they're just at the end of their tether, they're trying to do everything in their power to not affect their scalps. They don't know what to do, so they've just stopped doing everything. So what's the problem? Why don't these products work? And the reason why is because it's very uncommon just to have one single scalp issue on its own. Dandruff is probably the exception to the rule. If you've got dandruff, you do an anti-dandruff shampoo, it'll get rid of it. There you go. But in many cases, you will have these overlapping problems. And then you get this larger nebulous issue where the scalp has low level irritation and the sensitivities. So dry and oily scalps can have an effect together, believe it or not. So you can get seborrheic eczema. You can get pseudopsoriasis. So you can get these things which overlap. And sometimes what happens is the product that you're using gets rid of those primary issues. So it will get rid of the flaking, but then the secondary issue takes over and comes to the forefront. So you're dealing with one problem, and the second problem isn't being dealt with. And that's where the problems lie with scalp issues. You've got to sort of look at it as a whole and correct everything as a whole, and then the scalp will start getting better. So the new way of looking at these things and the new way of helping the scalp, and the missing part of the puzzle sometimes, is the external factors, the environmental issues which are affecting the scalp. The products that you use may only suppress the inflammation, suppress the itching and the flaking. And what's causing it is a myriad of things. And part of that is to do with food and lifestyle and environment. So understanding that you can start pulling different levers and helping your skin stroke scalp from a holistic point of view. And I use holistic as in your whole scalp and skin regime, your whole healthy lifestyle, rather than holistic as in a herbal remedy. Exercise, diet, hydration, sleeping well, reducing stress, and understanding that your environment, as in the weather and the sometimes even your mood cycles, can affect your skin, have big impacts on your scalp care regime. Things like transepidermal water loss, which is the ability of your skin to retain water and expel water when it should, rather than expelling water over and above what it should. If you've ever had chapped lips in a winter, that is a cause of transepidermal water loss. Scalp microflora, we're only touching the surface on the effect on the scalp microbiome and itching, flaking, irritated conditions. The old-fashioned way is to say that there is bugs on the scalp and you get rid of the bugs and therefore everything gets better. And we know now that that isn't a thing. And the reason why is because there's a balance on the scalp and the skin needs that balance. It's more like knowing that your scalp is like a rainforest with lots of animals and plants living on there, and they all need to be in balance. And if there is one fungus or one bacteria that is overpopulating, then it knocks everything else out of kilter, and then problems start happening. Now, that can be because of the food that you're eating, or the environment that you're in, or the stress that you're having, or the shampoo that you're using. So again, understanding that these things are all joined is an important part of understanding your long-term scalp issue. So killing bugs just for the sake of killing bugs probably won't work in most cases, because those bugs do a job. And if we get rid of all of them, then it's not going to be good for our skin. Skin barrier function and oxidative stress. Again, this is a new train of thought that's getting a lot of popularity and a lot of science behind it. And these are the things which affect our skin from, again, external and internal environmental factors. So if you think of stresses on the body that we know about, we know how damaging the sun is to our skin, and we know how damaging smoking is to our skin, and we know how damaging things like high sugar content diets are to our skin. These things are exactly the same with the scalp. There is new evidence to show that long-term scalp inflammation can have an effect on hair shedding and on hair growth. Now, I am hesitant to say that these things are causative, but they are definitely compounding problems. And when we're talking about shampoos helping your hair to grow. That could be true, but these are over long periods of time. You just think of how long it takes for the sun to damage your skin. That's how long it will take for those microinflammation issues to damage your hair. So you're looking at decades. But if you put something into a regime in your 20s and 30s, by the time you are 60 or 70, theoretically, you should have significantly better hair because you've always suppressed that inflammation and helped your scalp along the way that people use UV filters on their skin and help with the effect of their skin. So, what's the missing part of this equation? Is it your environment? Is it the food that you're eating? Pay attention to when your scalp is irritating you. Is it because you've eaten something which disagrees with you? Have you got a sensitivity to anything like dairy or gluten? Is it after you've consumed alcohol? Do you eat a lot of sugar? Sensitivities can be easily ignored. But if you start marking them down and going, oh, actually, my skin is affected after X, then you might be onto something. Stress is a massive part of skin and scalp conditions. So if you're highly stressed, the hormones that are released and the amount of nerves and blood vessels that are in your scalp will be drawing those hormones, those itchy hormones like histamine, to the scalp and causing problems. Pay attention again to your situation at the moment, and does that then mirror the ups and downs of your scalp condition? Because it won't be an irritant at the same level all the time. So your scalp doesn't stay at a 10 for irritation all the time. It will dip down to a 6 and then it will go to a 10 again. When does it go down and when does it go up? And don't rely on monotherapies. Thinking back to what we just said about the best products for your scalps and the usual way of doing things is you get a product, you try it, and then you figure out if it's helped or not. The way that you can help is maybe you need two shampoos, maybe one to do one job and one to do another. So something with coal tar and something with ketoconazole, maybe. So have a look at the list there, figure out what actives are in your shampoo, and then pick another one and see if it helps because they do slightly different jobs. And sometimes using them in conjunction with each other tends to help. Now, you're more than welcome to skip to the end because this is where I do the sell about my products, but I'm very happy with them and I know that they work. Our hair camera and scalp camera range was designed to sit in the middle of these inflammatory, oily, dry conditions to simplify your scalp problem because people don't really know what they're dealing with unless they have a diagnosis. Is designed for dry, oily, irritated, flaky scalps. And the reason how we can do that is because it's a low foam action scalp cleanser. There's ingredients in it which reduce the amount of oil production. There is products in there that are emollients which help dry skin. And there is ingredients in there which are antibacterial stroke antifungal. And it is a great mild shampoo. So if you're sort of figuring out which product it works, then I would suggest that you give ours a go. It's gone through clinical trials. We asked dermatologists to throw everything that they possibly can at it regarding scalp conditions, and in 80% of cases, it did the job. We can say with certainty that these products that we have designed work very, very well for the vast majority of cases. And obviously, if you do purchase them and if you do use them, and if you're still finding that the scalp is irritable, go back through this, have a look at the environmental factors, because this will be doing one job, which is suppressing the irritation and suppressing the inflammation. But what are the irritating factors? Are you able to correct something in your regime which will assist the product doing its job? So here's our scalp cleanser and our scalp moisturizer. Notice that I say scalp cleanser and scalp moisturizer and not shampoo and conditioner. They are shampoos and conditioners, but they are primarily focused on the scalp, on scalp care. So we want people to use them on the scalp. The scalp cleanser will act as a shampoo and it will cleanse hair. The scalp moisturizer will act as a conditioner, but a conditioner and a moisturizer do two different jobs. Conditioners don't really absorb into the skin because they're designed to coat hair. So when you use the scalp moisturizer, then you can put it through your hair and it does feel nice and soft afterwards, but it won't feel coated. And our other hero product that we're very happy with is our serum, which is called Scalp Calmer, hydrating serum, and it has hyaluronic acid and melatonin and biraceid oil. So it helps with anti-inflammatory properties, helps with that dry, tight feeling on the scalp, and also, very importantly, you don't have to wash your hair. So, 'cause so many people, the only thing that they can do with their scalps to alleviate it is to wash it with something. And we thought we need something to put on the scalp that will alleviate those issues without a person having to wash their hair all the time, because sometimes it's difficult to, or sometimes they don't want to. And this tends to do the job. And we're very, very happy with it. And lots of our customers are very happy with it as well. Please check them out on our website. And by all means, ignore all that information about our products and just crack on with the ones that you are comfortable with in the meantime. I hope that has helped you with understanding scalp problems a little bit more. It is a complex issue. There is more to talk about, and that's why I've called this Scalp Problems Part 1. But if there is anything that you want to comment on, please like, subscribe, comment, and we will see you next time.